start with Dr. Guy McClung, and he'll be followed by Timothy Barker. I would just ask that in respect of the meeting structure and the chambers, if you would not cheer and clap, because it makes it hard for the next person to hear your name being called or for the council to hear everything that's going on. So if you would just respect that, I would very much appreciate it. Mr. McClung. You can have one. You can have the time of one of those people. Given the time to okay, I see bill number, that's number 8, okay. All right, please proceed.
Mayor Taylor, council members, I will begin my today. Most of the folks sitting behind me believe in the midst of their souls that abortions, infants, and babies is wrong and evil. Most of the council believes abortion is good and an act of virtue. There are no words I can say to make those behind me believe more deeply, and there's no words I can say to change the hearts and lives of most of the council. So I thought, what's the use? Why do you do it? Then I made the mistake of reading the word of God. Exodus 4. Moses didn't want to go talk to parents of the council meeting. Actually, it was Pharaoh in the story. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, suppose they will not believe me, nor listen to my plea. I am not what you before or after you have spoken to me. But I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. O Lord, please send someone else. And the Lord said to him, Who made man's mouth? Who made the dumb, the deaf, the blind, the sea? Have not I the Lord? Therefore, go, I will be your mouth, and teach what you shall say. So I was right, I cannot say the words, but God can help me. God can help all those who are going to follow. I asked 2 or 3 to join with me, either in English or in Spanish. I want to invite Jesus here again. Let's say this prayer. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga tu reino, hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los Good. Jesus is in the building. And pardon my offenses for my pronunciation of this beautiful language. The essence even the first of Maya and the first of Arabic. I know it's going through your minds, so paraphrase from these two very carefully. I know what you're thinking. Who is this jerk? This can summon a hypocrite before you. If he sees Moses or Jeremiah or John the Baptist yelling outside the walls of King Herod's palace, I assure you, I have been numbered among the most morally hypocritical of all hypocrites. I stand and say in my church, I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have committed sin. When I finished, I said, first of all, an act of contrition. And I would like to conclude with the same tone of act of contrition for the sins of killing here thousands of innocent babies, the great majority of them Hispanic and African American. Oh God, we are heartily sorry for having offended here in San Antonio. We detest all our sins of abortion because of thy just punishment, because we regret it altogether and painfully. But most of all, because these sins of abortion exist in our God. We turn to resolve.
Dr. McClung, your time is up. Thank you so much. Timothy Barker.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, and the City Council for being here to hear our concerns. As you know, my name is Tim Barker, and I want to speak in regard to the proposed zoning amendment that will be voted on the council on December 17th, which inappropriately defines an individual service center as a no. As a physician, I can tell you that there's a vast difference between the business that goes on in people who get a surgical facility and what goes on in another. As a resident of Green Hill Estates, I can also tell you from personal experience that the impact of locating an ambulatory surgical center immediately adjacent zoning amendment that will come before you for a vote on December 17th inappropriately defines an ambulatory surgical center as a medical clinic. Interestingly, the current definition of medical clinic in the Unified Development Code specifically excludes buildings with operating rooms. So not only does this amendment inappropriately classify an ambulatory surgical center as a medical clinic, doing so would require an additional drastic change to the standard accepted definition. Please understand that your vote on this issue will have tremendous consequences for residential neighborhoods in this wonderful city. If this amendment is passed, it will allow ambulatory surgical centers to be located immediately adjacent to single-family homes and residential neighborhoods anywhere in the city of San Antonio. I'd like to ask some questions. Is there any good reasons to pass this amendment? What positive outcome would be accomplished if this amendment were to pass? What is the motivation behind this amendment? This amendment originated with the movement, and the city staff completely changed what I wrote to have exactly the opposite meaning. So, as already stated, I can tell you from my personal experience that this is not just a theoretical concern, it is a stark reality. Green Hill Estates is the only neighborhood in San Antonio where an ambulatory surgical center has been allowed to be located a mere 50 feet from single-family homes. We now risk this becoming the norm for San Antonio. In the interest of preserving the quality of life for all of our citizens, I respectfully ask you to vote against this zoning amendment. And I'd like to give you this letter that offers me.
Thank you. We'll take that. Thank you. Michael Kanowski. Michael Kanowski, followed by Harry Padilla.
I have Harry Padilla's time and Stephen Garcia. Stephen, stand up. Good evening. I'm here today to talk about the amended language. We object to the unjust zoning of the Planned Parenthood of 2140 Babcock, and we urge you to vote no on the need for the new redefined ambulatory surgery center in the Unified Development Code. Mayor Ivey, you spoke at length, and your concerns from the very beginning of 2140 Babcock were two things. If I listened correctly, I wrote them down. To make sure that the neighbors were notified of this facility, you wanted to make certain that took place. I'm here to report that did not take place, has not taken place, probably will not take place. Number two, your concern was you wanted to make certain the development services department process was followed. It is with honesty to this evening, I can tell you that the objectivity that you asked us to stick to went out the window, and subjectivity and feelings came in to where we're at the point where there is no objectivity left when it came to the zoning. Deception is Planned Parenthood's mode of operation. They work under the cover of darkness. In fact, so much so that they had it all registered in Delantero Investors Limited. It's really interesting because they always brag about what great services they offer, yet it's under Delantero Investors. If you looked it up, the neighbors would have found what, bowling alley, tiny restaurant, it wasn't until after they received building permits is when this announcement came out after 60 days had lapsed before neighbors could protest this, did this actually come out. And probably what would cause the biggest strain is the city when it comes to Trent Robertson. Because right after that, on December 22nd, 2014, Trent Robertson, then senior planner, no longer an employee in San Antonio, wrote this letter out and was chastised for getting this letter out, not for the content, but the fact that he did not bubble it up to management. Isn't it true that once Planned Parenthood begins construction, if the city were to stop them, then the city might be looking at a lawsuit? So at that point, question is it true that maybe zoning became the solution? So, what do we do then as a city? Well, the city, is it true that due to the political pressures that we had to hire a third-party reviewer? The so-called third-party reviewer, Martin White, I talked to him, and he had not one single question of me, not a single one. And that third-party reviewer, all he could talk about how he participated in the original UDC, and that he couldn't wait to get this project paid for so that he could do more work. We need an unbiased third-party reviewer.
Harry Padilla, followed by Jerome Wiltis. Oh, I'm sorry. Jerome Wiltis. Followed by David Petrie.
Would anyone else want to?
And your name? Thank you.
I'm Jerome Moses, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I was going to read Archbishop's statement he made on March 2nd, but I won't read it again because we already know the Archbishop's position that abortion was gravely contrary to moral law. I was trying to put this whole issue in perspective, wondering why the Archbishop was compelled to make this statement, and I was wondering why I'm here along with others to talk to you tonight. What it comes down to is that abortion is a violation of moral law, otherwise known as natural moral law. What is natural moral law? Natural moral law is known by all men and women and has the use of reason. It is based on common sense, prudence, and justice. Natural moral law is imprinted on our hearts by God. The following is what one source says about natural moral law. Quote, an immoral act violates the natural moral law, even if it conforms to the local civil law. The natural moral law exists despite the political parties and civil authorities legislate the contrary. That got me to thinking, mandated laws in our country are supposed to be legislated and enacted to enforce natural moral law. To protect us from evil and for the most common good. I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer. I spent 23 years in the Coast Guard, which has the broadest law enforcement authority of any law enforcement agency in the country. Much of my Coast Guard career was spent enforcing our laws for the common good. So why a retired federal law enforcement officer testifying to you tonight? The reason I'm here is to tell you that the natural moral law is not being enforced with 2140 baptized. Unfortunately, there is no civil law protecting our unborn fellow human beings from the evil of abortion. Instead, our U.S. Supreme Court made a mistake and ruled that abortion is legal. In hindsight, we know the Supreme Court got it wrong because there's no common good whatsoever about abortion. I'm here to ask you, is it a common good for abortion to cause physical and emotional damage to mothers for the rest of their lives? Is it a common good to inflict excruciating pain to the innocent unborn baby during the abortion process? And is it a common good, then, to disrespect the deceased baby by selling its body parts? Abortion is the ultimate indignity. It deprives an innocent, helpless person of life by deliberately and gruesomely killing that person, a fellow human being, in opposition to God's will. So I ask you, is abortion a common good? I believe you know deep down in your heart that abortion is not a common good. I believe you know by use of your reasoning what the Archbishop stated is true, that abortion is gravely contrary to moral law. So I'm here to ask you to do the right thing. I'm asking you to defend natural moral law for the common good. I'm not sure if you took office here at City Council, but I believe you may have sworn an oath to promote the common good. And I believe that oath may have ended with the words, so help me God.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. We'll now hear from Sandy Petrie, followed by Marion Thompson.
Well, my name is Danny Petrie, and I'd like to applaud y'all for being here. We've got 30% of the council here, so thank you. I have here over 1,200 signatures saying that Planned Parenthood should be that illegal zoning area. We've taken a survey, and our survey says, one, do you oppose abortion facilities right next door to your home? And 94% said yes. You oppose local governments changing zoning laws to allow abortions next to your home? 92% said no. Would you sell your home and move it if your local government allowed abortions to be performed next door to your home? The answer is yes. Okay, 82%. What I'm saying is that if this was your home, you wouldn't want to live in that neighborhood. The vote for this amendment is a vote for special interest. It's a vote against the citizens of San Antonio for our neighborhoods. Please do not pass this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Petrie. We'll now hear from Marion Thompson. Marion Thompson will be followed by Patrick Congo.
I also have more time from Sonia. Share with her, Sonia.
Name again, please.
Sylvia Villarreal.
Sylvia Villarreal. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to say a couple of things here, and I'm really pretty upset about having to be here. I don't believe we have a need for us to be here. You know, I've talked about this before. There are two sides here tugging at y'all. One side is asking y'all to break the law. Our side is asking you to follow the law. I don't understand why we have to keep coming month after month, week after week, to come and give presentations as to why it's wrong to murder babies. But you know, so this is a very serious matter. And the reason it's a serious matter is because God Almighty is watching what happens not only in other countries, but what's happening in the United States of America. And in Leviticus, the book of Leviticus, it says, any nation that honors God shall be blessed, and any nation that dishonors God, in Leviticus, Deuteronomy 29 says, any nation that dishonors God shall be cursed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you this is a lot more serious than you can ever imagine. We have little babies that are being murdered in this city as we speak. I have no doubt in my mind that that's an abomination to God, because that's what God's word says. God says that shedding of innocent blood is an abomination to God. I'm telling you, you people are here to do what's right. Y'all aren't here to do it because it's fanciful or fancy free or whatever. I'm telling you that God says that the shedding of innocent blood is an abomination to Him. And every nation is based and judged by the actions it takes on morality. And I guarantee you that if little babies are created in the image of God, morality indicates that those little babies should have a right to live. I don't know how people can get off on abortions. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, but since 1972, it hasn't just been permissible to murder babies in the first, second trimester, whatever. That's Roe versus Wade. But if you go to Roe versus Bolton, which was passed at the same time by the Supreme Court of this supposedly great nation that doesn't have a problem with murdering babies, that said you can murder babies for all 9 months of pregnancy. So why didn't they inform the public? Because they knew that the American people would not stand by and allow little babies to be murdered in 9 months, which is what's been happening until some of the states finally got a little sense and declared it to be unconstitutional. That's what we think partial abortion is all about. Now we've got Planned Parenthood that's coming around and they're saying that it's okay to sell little baby body parts. And some of these babies have been born alive. I'm telling you that the fate of our nation and this state and this city rests on whether or not we honor God's word. And y'all are in a position that y'all should do something about it.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you, followed by Mark Pettis. Good evening, City Councilman, Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Trevino, Mr. Gallagher, thank you for being here. I see you're earning your keep. Now that you have a salary there, we all have pray that are actually honoring that fact that the citizens are not paying you. Although I'm not sure about Mr. Gallagher, you said you're going to decline. Nonetheless, thank you for being here. I stand before you again today on behalf of the San Antonio Family Association and 100 people who signed up. I'd like everybody to stand up who's here, who's against the redefining of minimum wage of the ASC. Thank you all for being here. People come at a time where they're not being paid. They come at a holiday time when people are preparing for the feast day of Christmas. And it's a busy time, it's a party time. This is not just what they want to be doing. They stand here today because this is the right thing to do. I share with you you might be familiar with this budget proposal of the DSD. And I'd like to look at the bottom, and we've made some few alterations for your enjoyment and pleasure to consider. The DSD is motto is really don't review zoning practices, don't make decisions, and don't know who does. That's an admission made by none other than DSD Director Bob Sanchez in May, building related fire code appeals advisory board. We actually made a public admission in regards to 240 Gap. This next one shows total proposed budget of DSD. And like the budget code enforcement general fund, $14.5 million. Where is the code enforcement? I'd like to just pass out to you this picture of the Ambulatory Surgery Center certificate of occupancy that I had to visit. My son had surgery back in October. This happens to be a certificate of occupancy with on the Ambulatory Surgery Center on Spurs Lane. You can zoom in towards the description of business. Thank you very much. See it says Ambulatory Center, Mr. Trevino. You see that? There's a description of business. This place here in South Texas, at 240 got one of these. Have you asked the DSD for this? Because the city refuses to give this. We put in our own national record request. We got 13 certificates of occupancy back in this Gonzalez. Not a single one of them. Earlier, I should say, as recent as 2008 is the latest one. 2008, different building owner, different occupants, massage therapy, travel. What can it be? It's time for the DSD to clean their act up. It's time to either fire the DSD director and assistant directors, or get rid of the law of deceptive practices, and get rid of favoritism, the practices that claim here in South Texas. It's time to clean them up. If vote no, redefine the amendment to the ASC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bondone. Timo Luther and Lori Rojas, concerned citizens of Green Hill Estates neighborhood. Please come forward, ladies.
Hello, my neighbors and I are here to share the impact of having an ambulatory surgical center located at 2140 Babcock. We're all residents of Green Hill Estates. As you know, from your everyday jobs, you come to City Council and then come to City Hall. You are frequently seeing protests, you're frequently seeing press conferences, and then you go home in the evening and have your rest and relaxation. And that's the opposite for us. When we go home, I work across the street from my neighborhood, and when I go home during lunch hour, and on the weekends, I'm regularly seeing protests. I'm seeing a lot of noise, traffic, visual pollution, and basically what I'm saying is our safe haven, our quiet place of relaxation has been turned upside down. And what other business in town has, other than being on the steps of City Council, you know, what other business has and attracts this kind of chaos on a regular basis? So what we're asking you is to please vote no to the revised amendment on ambulatory surgical center zoning. And my neighbor Lori Rojas will continue.
Like Tina was saying, we live next to the regional headquarters of a national, international, very controversial marriage. We still maintain the same natural beauty that we've had in the neighborhood. We still have the trees, the wildlife, but the heart of the neighborhood has been fractured. We are very polarized by our beliefs. We direct our angst at each other rather than at the city or at preliminary convening. We didn't have any home sales for a couple of years. Actually, we've had about 6 home sales. Those homes, the new homeowners, have not been replaced with families that have young kids. We are polluted with no parking signs, and that's only a part of the neighborhood. More will continue. As folks drive through the neighborhood, they must wonder what goes on that we have to have no parking signs right next to our houses. We have no buffer for our kids, the schools, the daycare, the families that live there, because we back right out to this abortion facility. So do a couple of NIC schools. The ambulatory surgical center amendment that was proposed, we put forth subject matter experts, Dr. Timothy Barker and Mr. Robert Berry, a civil engineer. Last Friday, when I returned home after 11:30 at night, the police were patrolling Planned Parenthood. There were several cars parking back. We have infrastructure problems. Our neighborhood is over 150 years old. We had a water main break, and it broke in February. Again, it broke in October, and it was fixed. I looked out today, it looks like it's ready to break again. We're ready to move. We've lived in a generational way that was passed down from my in-laws, and we are ready to leave. We're tired of this Planned Parenthood incentives to our young kids. Please vote no on this amendment. A vote yes is a vote for Planned Parenthood.
Thank you very much, ladies. We'll now hear from Mark Pettis, followed by Mark Reed. Mr. Pettis.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight and hearing everybody. I'm excited that there's this many people. It's so frustrating. The city of San Antonio doesn't know what y'all are voting on. I know you need to represent your constituents. Some of our constituents are here, but the issue is so important. We're asking you to vote no to this. I live in a community on the north side with a psychiatric hospital in my neighborhood. It causes considerable issues with all sorts of traffic and helicopters. I had a psychiatric patient get in my car one day when I was at the park with my children. That's not anything compared to Planned Parenthood being on the corner or anywhere near no barricade into neighborhoods. The Planned Parenthood is going to consistently be we are going to consistently stand outside and disagree with what they're doing inside. This is something that should be in a medical neighborhood, not in a residential facility. Please hear us out and vote no to this. We shouldn't even be voting on it. It's been no before, and it should still remain away from our residential communities. What are we asking you to do? Remove the development services for definition of an ambulatory surgical center from the ASC amendment and unified development code, because the redefined ASC amendment will allow future, what we're talking about, future abortion facilities to be located. We are trying to build one right now. Please vote no.
Thank you, Mr. McDowell. And now Gerald Ripley. Gerald Ripley will be followed by Liz Lozano. Say the names again.
Harry Willis, Bobby Hoover. Harvey Senator Firestone is American business and founder of Firestone Fire and Water Company. The law of the business in my neighborhood that bears his name is this quote from him. I believe fundamental honesty is the keystone of business. That's an excellent philosophy to live by. It's an imperative philosophy to govern by if one's goal is to govern God. Harvey Firestone did not approve, condone, or excuse the tactics used by Planned Parenthood to secure the C1 zone permit at 2140 Babcock here in San Antonio. Neither would he have tolerated, covered up, or overlooked that. We certainly wouldn't have brought up his whitewash to happen. In March 2014, LTR Investors purchased a 80,000 square foot building at 2140 Babcock, and Mr. Alan Kramer as their agent. Mr. Kramer is chairman of Planned Parenthood South Texas. San Antonio's United Development Code limits C1 zoning reservation to buildings that have a maximum of 5,000 square feet. So here,
with 22,000 square feet, so the minimum backlot could not qualify for single zone. However, on August 8, 2014, City of San Antonio issued C1 parent order that was listed head institution as office and the square footage as 5,836 feet, which exceeds the 5,000 square feet by over 16%. What is the name of the employee who decided to exceed the maximum square footage for C1 zoning and did not directly apply to UBC? Associated premise and regulation of the use listed office, cumulative premise extended square footage to 20,300 square feet, which is 446% of the 5,000 maximum set in UBC. Government is deceptive in designating the building as office. We need crime, lack of integrity and transparency on the part of the Crown County using deceptive permit applications to achieve our objective. We're confident Firestone will not have been building negotiated. We have 4 requests. The request that the employee who approved the initial permit be identified as also those who approved the associate permits that he, she, they receive a formal recommend that gets placed in the permanent employment folder. We request secondly that all city employees and chief commanders above those employees identified and receive requests likewise that the formal recommend gets placed in the permanent folder. We call upon city councilors to receive and accept the contract contributions, either return as contributions or recuse themselves from any matters pertaining to the Planned Parenthood. Vote or no on the ambulatory service center. Don't support Planned Parenthood.
Thank you, Mr. Ripley. Go ahead, Mr. Cobb.
Thank you, members of the council that bothered to be here tonight. My wife, Kathleen, stand up, is yielding her time to me.
Kathleen Powell.
Yes. And we're both residents of your district, District 10, and enjoy a nice quiet neighborhood there. And my heart goes out to these folks over here behind 2140 Babcock. I think this event that took place in Colorado recently, and this nutcase, he shot up the place, and we had a tragic loss of life there, including a pro-life police officer that gave his life, and real tragedy. And I think that people like that don't represent my views, but those people are out there. I think that they're shooting up the neighborhood around 2140 Babcock. And it's not something I desire to see happen. It's an awful thought to even be here tonight talking about this. It's just really concerning. But I'm very concerned for those folks over there. There's no way we should change the zoning to accommodate Planned Parenthood. I have a question I'd like to put before you. And it's basically this. Planned Parenthood, regardless of what you've been told about edited videos and what have you edited, they have acknowledged that they sell baby body parts. They talk about hearts, brains, livers, kidneys. These are all parts of a human being that they're talking about. They're not parts of a dog, they're not parts of a cat, or anything else. And so my question is, Planned Parenthood, for decades, has been telling women and telling the American public and anyone who listens that that baby that's inside the womb is just a blob of tissue, it's just a mass of cells. And I wonder how they transform that at the time they perform this abortion into hearts, kidneys, lungs, brains, things of these sort of things. So I just ask you, what are they really doing over there? I think we all know they're killing human beings. They're destroying life. There's no doubt, there's no debate in biology about when life begins. That was settled a long time ago. This is not a political issue. It's a science issue. It's been settled. And the question is whether we're going to follow proper zoning laws, respect our neighbors over there around the facility, really we're going to respect life. My wife was 17 when my daughter was born. It was an unplanned pregnancy. It was a crisis. My daughter today is a practicing physician in the same neighborhood. Asked her if she would like to get aborted from a difficult situation so that my wife could finish high school. She got her GED from the college, got an MBA. Now, we all face difficult situations in our lives. The solution is kill somebody because you're facing a challenging situation. The government has a responsibility to protect life. It's a primary role of the government is to protect life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Followed by Brad Weaver. Yes, ma'am. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. That's Kate Delaney, you said. We'll now hear from Brad Weaver.
Dear members of the council, I find myself, and I do wish Councilman Nuremberg was here, because I find myself in the strange position of agreeing with Councilman Nuremberg, who said in the Ken's 5 interview on March 2nd, 2015, the question about other things, such as abortion, are questions about legislation in the state of Texas, and those aren't things City Council gets involved in. And I'm asking the councilman to remain true to his comments, and calling on Mayor Taylor and others from the council to do likewise, and either remove the redefinition of an ASC from the UC amendment or to vote no on the amendment altogether. Leaving in the redefinition of an ASC and voting yes to the amendment with the redefinition still in place is a vote for abortion and a vote in favor of Planned Parenthood. Unfortunately, this will not be the first vote that council has made in favor of Planned Parenthood. Councilman Nuremberg, who I believe has received political donations from Planned Parenthood South Texas PAC, has joined with other members of the council in supporting Planned Parenthood by approving Planned Parenthood abortionist Dr. Chi-Chi Junior as medical director of the Metropolitan Health District. I have heard rumors that she was removed from this position, but as of 3 p.m. today, she is still listed as holding this position on the official website. The vote to redefine ASC is more egregious than the council's appointment of abortionists would. First, this vote is the council admitting the zoning decision of PSB was improper at 3140 Babcock. The change from the definition of ASC is necessary because as previously defined, such a facility with 2 operating rooms and cold storage would not conform to the usage of C1. The fact that the council finds it necessary to redefine ASC for GDC purposes demonstrates that former senior planner Trenton Robinson was accurate when he stated in his December 22, 2014 letter to Attorney Sandra Durant, the use of a professional office and laboratory testing are permitted uses within the C1-based zoning district. However, cold storage, medical surgery facility, and a hospital are not permitted uses within the C1-based zoning district. The effect of the redefinition is to remove the distinction between a professional office and an ASC. This change is only necessary because the current definition, as demonstrated by Mr. Robinson's application within this letter, does not allow an ASC and C1. Therefore, the purpose of the redefinition is to cover up or legitimize the wrong committed by Rod Sanchez and the PSB in its zoning decision. But the effect is to expand Planned Parenthood's freedom to locate in any commercial zone in the city of San Antonio. I ask that you vote against this.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Thanks so much for being here and hearing us speak and hearing our passion. You know, tonight as I was reflecting what this is about, it obviously is about abortion, but it's about the rule of law. And whether we are going to be ruled by arbitrary capriciousness or whether we're going to stick with the rule of law. It's the same issue that's been before the leaders of this community for a very long time. 180 years ago, a gentleman said that he thought he should be able to rule Texas arbitrarily and capriciously and ignore the Constitution of Mexico to become king. And the leaders of this community stood up and said, no, that we would stick with the rule of law. And they fought and they died only feet from here. That's about what happened. Ideas and words and deeds have consequences. convictions have consequences. And I would ask all the rest of these people that are here today that you honor the graves of the men who died here at Calvary, and that you stick with the rule of law and do not allow this to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Who has
Susie Bailey, Susie Bailey,
one more time?
Susie Bailey has given me her time.
Susan Bain.
Susie Bailey.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Sherry Farrar. I'm the Executive Director of Life Choices Network Planning, and I want to thank you for being here tonight, for spending your time to come and let us address you. I really appreciate that very much. Our clinic is over by the Meeting Park Mall. We are a pro-life clinic, but we are here to enrich our community. We offer services that are very, very valuable to the women and the men in our community. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the differences between an abortion facility and a clinic like mine. We offer services to men and women free of charge, services that they need, pre-pregnancy testing, pre-ultrasounds, very, very low-cost STD testing and treatment for both men and women, free annual wellness exams to include HPV testing, PAPs, pelvis, all of the lab work that goes along with that. We are serving the needy in our community, those that are falling through the cracks, the ones that have nowhere to go. An abortion facility like Planned Parenthood, while they may offer similar services, they charge for all of their services. We are serving the women and the men who have no place else to go. They don't have the money for that. We are giving them excellent care. We also provide all of the options. So when these women and men come in, they know exactly what they're looking at. Because let's face it, if they're in a crisis pregnancy, there is no great answer here. Every option that they have is going to be a very difficult choice for them to make. But we want them to know what all of their options are. And then we're going to support them if they choose to parent or they choose to make an adoption plan. We're going to walk through that with them so that they know that they have support. If they choose to parent, then we're going to walk with them for at least 3 years, providing them with material assistance, diapers, wipes, education. We have a fatherhood program, so we're teaching our young men to be great dads, because we believe in our hearts that for our city to thrive and for our city to be successful, which is what all of you want, all of us together make up San Antonio. We want our city to be strong. We don't want our city to struggle. We must protect our citizens. We must make sure that our families have the tools that they need to get good jobs, to support themselves, to get out of poverty. We are helping our patients do that. Abortion facilities offer no services like these to their patients. They do not offer education classes. They do not offer material assistance. And in fact, we had a patient who went to Planned Parenthood to get a pregnancy test and proof of pregnancy. They told her they would not help her. They are not there for those services. Yet on their sign, it says pregnancy services available. Thank you very much.
Kim Cope, followed by Joe Judson. Kim Cope. Jeff Judson. Nick King. Ms. King will be followed by Alan Parker.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for your time this evening. I want to honor you for the hard work that you do in serving our citizens. Let's talk briefly about the tax base. Farlex Financial Dictionary states the tax base is defined as the value of all assets that a government may tax. The tax base is the reason government revenues tend to increase during economic growth and shrink during recessions. Author David L. Scott defines tax base as the resources that are available for taxation. With this in mind, let's consider some important facts that impact us here in San Antonio. As you're well aware, our public schools get paid based on the number of students in each seat. When the number of students in the school dwindles, that school goes down. Our city spends a considerable amount of money attracting businesses to relocate here. Drawing new people to our city is intended to result in tax revenues used to support our city. As business persons, we learn that it's always more economical to keep the customers we have rather than to lose them through poor customer service and have to start all over again to find new ones. To quote author Philip Longman, how can a government meet its obligations to the swelling ranks of the elderly, much less finance proper stewardship of the environment, when there are fewer and fewer workers to tax? What would you say if you found out that every year 5,600 of our citizens were not allowed to generate revenue in San Antonio? What would you say if you learned that same 5,600 persons were allowed to pay taxes? I urge you to vote no on the EDC amendment that wrongly proposes to redefine ambulatory surgical centers.
Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you. My name is Alan Parker. I'm the president of the Justice Foundation headquartered here in San Antonio. Thank you for your time and thank you for serving our city council. I urge you to vote no on the amendment. The question is, do you want an abortion clinic like Planned Parenthood with all the controversy that it generates in near neighborhoods? Or should a business like that be in the commercial area where it doesn't impact neighborhoods? For you all, it's not you can't change abortion. Abortion will always be controversial because it's the killing of a human being. And so these ambulatory surgical centers under the new state law may be doing more abortions. So the question for you is simply, do you want to create more retail estate problems for the city? That's the neighborhood that you have already kind of destroyed by letting Planned Parenthood be there. But you can stop it. You don't need to advance the Planned Parenthood agenda. You need to protect neighborhoods now. And just put it in a commercial area. See 2 or 3 where it should be. That's all that we're asking you to do. Keep the problems out of the neighborhoods for the sake of the neighborhoods and the citizens. You can't resolve the controversy, but you can protect the neighborhoods. For the sake of the children, of course, and for the neighborhoods, please vote against this amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Butler.
And I was told I had 2 people getting attacked.
One more time.
Okay. I could stand here and represent 3 groups tonight. One is Pastor Bill Parkway Baptist Church, San Antonio. In 1994, when I became pastor there, after that, we did not have a city vote yet. We did not have one. We were not in the city at the time, and so you all were next to it. So I went through the process of San Antonio trying to get a city vote. It took me 5 years. Y'all failed me 5 times. It cost me over $100,000 in extra cash to be able to meet all the needs of San Antonio so we could meet in our facilities. I had to say the Texas breathing down my neck and see all of our children's ministry that required that. And then even at the end, I'll hit the $250 million another bill, which I was eventually able to get out from under. So I know how difficult it is to try to meet codes, and we did do it at a great expense, with nobody giving me any favors or special breaks of any kind. Secondly is I'm also chairman of the board of the Right Choice Medical Center. And when we went to locate where we are now, I knew because of what we would be offering that we had to meet codes and zoning. So we're in C3. We went ahead and got it done early and made all that, and the ministry expanded the way we need that kind of protection in order for that to be able to help. And so I'm here to both have to say those 2 situations, I don't think changing rules in the middle of the game for someone who didn't meet the rules is right. I met every code, I met spent every penny I had to see. It cost me a ton of money to be able to do that, but I did it without complaining. And so I think no special favor should ever be allowed, and then what you have to do to meet that. Then lastly, I stand here as a representative of the Church of San Antonio, and I'm kind of allowed to be able to say that tonight. Back in May of last year, you may not realize this, but all the religious leaders in San Antonio met in my church in order to determine how the election of the mayor would turn out. And after much meeting and a lot of talk and discussion, we went to work. And the election of Ivy Taylor was a decision we decided to And we kind of thought everybody all for it, because we turned out to vote in record numbers, and we know the numbers, and we know the breakdown and everything that was involved in that. We've also played a huge part in voting Houston this last few weeks. The pastors in San Antonio, the Houston pastors, the Lord has been back. I will thank Mayor Castro for setting a legacy in San Antonio that will not be long-lasting. He did something that no one else has ever done in the history of San Antonio. Mayor Julian Castro united the Church of Jesus Christ in the city of San Antonio, Protestant, Catholic, black, white, brown, in ways you guys don't even begin to know. And we're here today. This is an important vote to us, and so we're paying close attention to everything that goes on. So I speak as a pastor. We had to spend a ton of money on being code that did not matter. I speak as chairman of the board of Life Choices, and we met our obligation. And I speak as representative of the Church of San Antonio. This is very important to us.
Thank you very much. Will be followed by the prayer.
Thank you, Councilman Gallagher. I'm just a citizen. I do work with a number of people here. I was looking forward to speaking to the whole council tonight, but I guess y'all brought the short. We've got the short straw. You know, it's been said this is about abortion, it's about Planned Parenthood, or it's about zoning. The truth is, it's about integrity. The integrity of each of the council members, both of you sitting here in all ways of mine. Because this started in secret. A mistake was made by an employee of the city. So the question becomes, you, the city authority, this city, this organization, do you have the integrity to stand up and say, we're not going to follow this course of action, we're not going to allow it to continue in San Antonio. We're going to be statesmen and not politicians. In the spirit of the season, God bless you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Isabel Flores is very kind.
Isabel Flores.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll get to the point. How relevant is truth in your life, whoever's supposed to be here? I care how relevant the truth is in your public life of because it is the result. This is the result. Man without God is not fully human. We are not masters of ourselves. We accept laws of church and society when they are in accordance with God's core values. Man without truth is a deceiver, not only to others, but most importantly to himself. Right over here, with this amendment, we chose how confused people are. There's a crisis of truth and core values, a crisis of absence of the sense of sin. People don't know or don't care to know what sin is anymore. Until sin is done to them, then they know how horrible it is. When the sin of rezoning for the purpose of killing, Planned Parenthood, house of human sacrifice, it's a sin of commission, whether it's your not. Because you know what gone well by what's happening there. Planned Parenthood says they help women get rid of the problem. The problem is carried about ourselves and teachers in your home. You were once a bunch of young cells, now you are a bunch of old cells. The same person. Remember, you're not fully God, you are fully yourself. How relevant is that in your private and public life? Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. Otherwise, there's a problem of schizophrenic here. He is relevant to you when you got a backbone and stand up for truth, God. Wanting to rezone that demonic human sacrifice place to stay open. Unshackled yourself from the demonic lie. Why do you paint the whole world and 30 pieces of silver and lost your soul and ended up in hell? But then you might not believe in hell, but you will believe when you end up there. When you got voted in, you probably said some nice things and you might have believed them yourself. or any place for that matter. But matter. Black lives matter. Hispanic lives matter. All lives matter. Even babies matter or won't matter. That's the whoever is already is only as fine as far and not have care. The state of sin is overwhelming. Don't even let the human sacrifice in the soul. Satan does not care for violence.
Thank you. Next one, Roseanne.
I'm here to speak about, abortion in the city and other speakers have already mentioned integrity in the city. I just graduated from college in St. Mary's this past year, and everybody talks about the next great generation, the next great generation. But when you think about the great generation during World War II, or those that are called that, there was, an idea that there's right and there's wrong. And people stood up to say things. But Satan is a great deceiver, and there is evil in this world. And of course, people doesn't want us to know that there is evil. And that is the thing that it's a deception to all of us. So I'm just here to say, vote no on the Planned Parenthood zoning because, we cannot represent people, or cannot represent killing of unborn babies. And the only difference between an aborted baby and a baby premature baby out of the hospital is one is harmless and the other is not. If we are a city that protects animals, this is one of the city. If we are a city that's going to go and protect monarch butterflies, how does it make sense for my college educated mind?
Stating the violations, he was dispensed, and not for giving the wrong facts, but for giving the facts. that was his mistake. If you change the rules, it sets a bad precedent. Why doesn't any other business have the right to request to change the rules when they don't comply with the ordinance? I just don't see why that would be the way to do it. But I'd like to get to the bottom of it and find out why was this allowed in the first place. And I feel if you go along with changing the definition, it's no different than the behavior of the city officials who allow them to break the rules in the first place. That's a dishonor to the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean Hildebrand, schedule. Yeah, please come up.
Hi, thank you. My name is Molly Russell. I represent San Antonio Coalition for Life. In the past, the Paulus community witnessed one of the biggest victories, the defunding of Planned Parenthood. This unprecedented event makes a very clear statement towards the business of abortion. Because Planned Parenthood is the business. Although you know my stance is against all forms of abortion, I think we can agree that politics stands for company, soil is the purpose of democracy. In our history, true to what stands the test of time. Wars fought over injustice and building heroes. Imagine the use deployed for McDonald's business interests. A many advanced definition will not be remembered as a just rule, but one that supports the company rather than protecting the citizens and the city council as a whole. I hope the city situation Planned Parenthood has put you in can be resolved right here and now. If your firm decision to stop going down this long road, continuing this path can lead to your own political disaster. While Obama will surely not allow the funding of Planned Parenthood, imagine the future with a pro-life president. Thank you to all who walk flying and flying for rooted justice, even though there are temptations on all sides.
Barker will be followed by Joan G. And I would ask, since we are getting late, once we know you're going to be called, please come up and sit in front of the portion of the room. Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Up on the screen, you'll see the message that God put on me to share. The story is very powerful. I ask before you vote, could you please Google that phrase and play that 10-minute video. The reason why it's up there is because most of my life I was a non-believer. I turned my back on God. I denied God. I wasn't an abortion supporter until God told me one day I was wrong. When my wife was pregnant with our son 14 years ago, she got sick, lost 42 pounds in 1 month, was hospitalized most of the time. The doctors eventually said, there is nothing else we can do for you if you don't turn this pregnancy around. So we took it to the bus. We got set up. We went to the abortion clinic that day. And right before we signed the leave on the death certificate to our son, we got in and beat my wife like that. And we said, I don't care if I'm done, I'm not going to kill our son. We got up and went like that. 2 years later, my wife and the baby had lost a 13-year-old boy. There's more to the story than that. So I asked you to watch that video before you make your vote. And I asked, as God tells us in James 2:26, for if the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead. So I humbly request that you ask yourself, are your words led by faith?
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, thank you for being here. I have some notes, there's been so many things said, I'm just going to speak from my heart and not from my prejudice. First, I'd like to thank y'all for being here today, and I'd like to remind you that the great state of Texas passed a law that says it's legal to say Merry Christmas. So I'd like to tell you guys Merry Christmas. I'd also like to say thank y'all for being here, because it's obvious that just like we're talking about zoning laws matter, it's obvious that we've got differences of opinion on the council, because we have one individual here today who's clearly could not have been aborted based on your birthday. It would be illegal for that to happen, so that's going to be all we're glad you're here today. And I read this video, where his mother actually chose to have it, so we're very thankful that she made that choice, and that you're here today as well. And as we talk about the zoning laws that actually impact every one of your citizens in your districts, let's talk about council members and other districts. I know that not one of you would want a council member to shove anything down your throat that you didn't approve. The people that live in those houses feel the same way. If we don't maintain the property rights that we have sovereignly in the city of San Antonio and in the great state of Texas, then we will be in a very visible
said, but I can understand if you would not like that.
Mr. Bernal. Charles Bernal. Nicole Hutchins. Ms. Hutchins will be followed by Tristan Cortez. Yes, we have finished.
Thank you so much. My name is Nicole Hutchins. I'm a policy analyst at Texas Valley, the statewide policy council here in Texas. And our legal team, including our president, Jonathan Sines, have dealt with these issues on the city, state, and federal level. As you've all known and heard, Planned Parenthood is an organization claiming to be for women's health. But as the recent videos, congressional and state senate hearings, legal reports, and testimonies have revealed, they're an organization that has made profit by preying on precious women in the moment of a crisis pregnancy. They also call their children lots of tissue and kill those children and sell them their parts for profit. They've been caught not reporting sexual abuse of their clients, and they've lost many money because of fraud. As a child who was born 2.5 months early, I shudder to think of the fate of the children who are like me but won't be given the chance to live. However, this council has allowed this organization to operate illegally. They knew that this building was not permitted under the zoning laws and have allowed them to operate and build anyway. My question today is, what other city officials are going to ignore laws which are permitted? Government officials who think they're above the law are of the same mindset that led to the disaster of permit laws now. There are testimonies of former construction workers who have seen children's body parts disposed in sewage systems wrongfully. And it's our city, or the city of San Antonio, going to allow little Johnny to see baby body parts in toilets without permission. A non-abortion ambulatory surgical facility cannot be open in this area. Not even a tattoo parlor can be built here. So why was Planned Parenthood allowed to bypass the laws and is able to operate in the county? The elected officials for the city council, I appeal to you. You as an elected official, when you're dealing with medical facilities and human lives, you have people's lives on your hands. Not only is this facility a threat to residents, but due to the circumstances and lawlessness of how it came about, no woman can walk through that door with the assurance she will be safe and well. I urge you to vote no on this amendment. Thank you.
And as I said again, if you'd like to move up to the front of the room prior to speaking, and certainly say results. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman, for allowing me to speak today. My name is Tristan Cortez, and I'm 15 years old. I'd like to start with a question for all of you. How would would you like Planned Parenthood killing babies within 50 feet of your home? I'm here today to support the movement against allowing the pay-for-hire baby murder group, also known as Planned Parenthood, to conduct abortions within 50 feet of residential areas. San Antonio, named for our dear St. Anthony, has always been a city of faith. So my next question is, are all of you, elected by the residents of the great city, going to vote to allow killers in residential areas? Or are you going to vote to protect this city from the atrocity of abortion? Will you use this vote as an opportunity to stand for abortion, or will you stand up for the thousands of residents who know that abortion hurts women, hurts families, and kills babies? By law, ambulatory surgical centers are not allowed in C1 zoning areas, but yet time and time again, the City Council has allowed Planned Parenthood to do what they want and refuses to listen to the residents of San Antonio. Please, I urge you to do what is right and vote for life, not death. Thank you for your time. God bless America and long live freedom. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sonia Harris, and I oppose this amendment. As a native San Antonio and a product of the Catholic schools in San Antonio, I feel a strong need to voice my opinion on the proposed amendment. This amendment would in effect cause a complete transformation for the city and its citizens. San Antonio has always been a stronghold for Christians, Catholics, and Protestants. This amendment is an affront to all Catholics and to the Catholic Archdiocese headquartered in San Antonio. The historic missions of the Southside Stand is reminders of our Catholic heritage. The thought of enacting this amendment for the sole purpose of erecting another killing facility in the Southside not only leads to favors for Planned Parenthood, but will severely damage the Hispanic culture in that area and to all women living in San Antonio and Bexar County. The amendment would also be in direct contradiction to what the Catholic missionaries intended that this city should stand for, Christian values. Furthermore, it would be in opposition of what the citizens of this historic city want to preserve, which is the preservation of Christian values to instill in their children and grandchildren. Our beautiful city was named after St. Anthony many years ago, laying down the roots for the future. Please do the right thing and oppose this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Joe Rosales. I'm new to San Antonio. I'm a church planner from Idaho. So glad to be here in this great city. I want to thank you for the opportunity to have a public discussion on the ABS amendment. This discussion has two levels to it, and both levels are related to one another. The levels are civic and moral. So let me address the civic issue first. Several months ago, the Planned Parenthood Corporation built a facility that would allow surgical abortions on Babcock Road. To my understanding, the 24-140 Babcock facility violates the city zoning law allowing abortion surgical centers in residential neighborhoods. So why is the city now moving forward to redefine the current amendment to make it possible for these abortion centers to operate in our neighborhoods? Is the council seriously concerned about the civic responsibility here? This is not what the majority of San Antonio citizens want. Again, to my understanding, the Green Hill City citizens don't want the current facility in their neighborhood. So why do you consider redefining the amendment to allow for ABS facilities in our neighborhoods? This is where the moral issue comes in. This is the second level issue. The civil magistrate, which is the council here, has a moral responsibility to protect its citizens. There is never a distinction between the issues of moral responsibility and civic responsibilities. If the council votes to allow Planned Parenthood surgical centers to operate in residential neighborhoods,
It will increase the level of harm to the citizens of the city and those women who seek abortions at their facility.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez.
So please vote no.
Can't hear. What did you say?
Good evening, my name is Jeff Warren. It's a pleasure to address council here tonight and your attention. I'm here to speak tonight in support of life. I do so because the Lord Jesus Christ says that He is the way, the truth, and the life. He also says that He came and gives life and gives more abundantly. And so it's altogether appropriate that I speak in support of life, of which He is the giver and sustainer. I've heard many opponents or supporters of abortion indicate that it's their desire for abortion to become rare and as infrequent as possible. It seems to me that the direction this amendment would be to expand rather than to reduce the opportunity for abortion. So I would ask the council to be mindful of the need to restrict and not to increase. There is a way, there is a procedure under the law for dealing with a situation when a property or a road use is not conform to the zoning. And that would be for variance. I find it to be remarkable that this city will allow a use to be created in violation and seek to cure it through use that through amended ordinance as opposed to enforcing the ordinance and requiring a variance that would be appropriate. As leaders, you are.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
In your name, ma'am? Say again. Candace Elder. Please come back to the mic.
Thank you. I would like to close by noting that as elected leaders, we have positions of responsibility. And the scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. I think it is altogether reasonable and appropriate that citizens of San Antonio would have a right to expect that the leaders of this city would seek to acknowledge and recognize both the spirit and the letter of the law. This proposed amendment does neither, and I would respectfully request that you would vote no in this ordinance. Thank you so much.
Understand that Tony Van move its surgical rooms and cold storage out of 2140 Babcock would be a political nightmare for you. But there is a time in everyone's life that a line needs to be drawn. What do you stand for? A vote yes to redefine the ambulatory surgical center tells us that you stand for corruption and want to cover up all the bad decisions made for 2140 Babcock. Vote no on December 17th.
Thank you.
I want to start real quick and I want to start about the abortion issue. I come back from Vietnam. My mom told me about the abortion and I talked about it. And I found out what abortion was the next thing that I had was fear. And I pressure upon me to grasp and beating. The fear was back to condemn us as evil. I challenge you to consider what you're about to do. Strictly Jesus does not provoke or look for wrath.
No president designated this year as a year of mercy. However, one refuses to give of mercy, one receives condemnation. Many of you may be involved heavily in social justice action, but unfortunately, people don't unjust acts and action. Abortion is a sin that cries out without judgment. What you are about to do is plain and simple. You are allowing the murder of both innocent mamas. I said before you to consider this. When you being murdered of babies, and everyone involved in shame. By changing the soul you're participating in the murder of the unborn. You're participating in the murder of the unborn. Definitely, when we are able to step before God and say, oh, just changing His only rule, is that so bad?
Thank you very much.
John Young, you will be followed by Cindy Sutton.
Thank you, council members, for your service to the city of San Antonio. I am Bishop John Young. I'm retired. I live in San Antonio. I've lived here for the last 62 years. And what you did in favor of the Parenthood 21 Party doesn't address the smell test, as they would say, on the ball field or in the street. But if you approve of the amendment and approve of the state, I'm worried about the city of San Antonio. They're really going to become like Chicago and some other cities that are really going downhill. And so I ask you to always remember that 50 years ago, I go to these ceremonies because I was in the sign-up, a program that built up the youth on the west side, south side, and east side. And I go to these ceremonies where the Alcalde Award was given. And in there it said the San Antonio is a wonderful place to raise your family. Let's go back to that standard. Huh? And this is the city of San Antonio. I want to just say that we have a wonderful heritage, and it's very Christian, very confident, and very supportive of people who have the river walk is a wonderful thing. We need to vote against. Please vote against.
Bishop, you can give me some extra time by Jack and Finger.
There was a statement there that really inspired me, and that is that the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964, that was initiated by John Kennedy and LBJ was the one that implemented. It said that it was for the purpose of developing the full potential of all citizens of the United States. These poor children that get aborted, they have absolutely no way of developing any potential, not even life outside the womb. And so I ask you to remember that the highest lawgiver is God Himself. He is not the Supreme Court of any nation. There's no higher law than God. And the 10th Commandment says simply, the faith thou shalt not kill. Remember what Mother Teresa said, you think God is going to bless a nation that kills its unborn children? You think God is going to bless San Antonio for giving Planned Parenthood all the favors that you can? Please vote no.
There's a ribbon D that was signed up online at noon, and I don't know if it got skipped or something, because I was going to give it my time. Can you go ahead and speak?
I'll go ahead and speak then. My name is Cynthia Serna. I'm a disabled veteran in District 7. I'm here to say please don't vote for the redefinition of the AFC because Planned Parenthood doesn't need any more special favors from City of San Antonio. But also, I hate to be negative, and I should thank the two of you first of all for being here, but to have y'all just, at least pay attention, that would be nice, and to maybe consider changing this to be citizens to be ignored in the future. Because and I want to thank Bishop Bianca for being here and for waiting all this time to be able to speak to y'all and for y'all to at least pay attention to him, but to listen to all the citizens that are voting for you. And I want to be encouraged. I don't want to be discouraged by this absence of everybody because the Spurs are playing or whatever Christmas parties are going on. It's an important issue. It's about life. It's about truth, and we should all be participating a little bit better. Thank you.
Richard Varela, David Ellinger, Mr. Ellinger.
Thank you. My name is David Ellinger. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And He has precepts and conditions for us to make decisions at. And it says in Matthew 1:18, now the birth of Jesus Christ was on my walk of this rise. But as his mother Mary was espoused, built when it came together, she was found with a child in the Holy Ghost. Matthew 1:21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. And he shall save his people from their sins. The sins that we allow the precepts and the principles to be violated in the soul of our generation. How dare us do that in front of the God of our universe, the God of our heavens, the God of the heartbeat that's in every soul and every beat of our heart. God is our guide, and knew not her till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus. Do we do that in our abortion clinics today by ripping out arms and hands and fingers? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Lester Warren. Chris Ellinger. Chris Ellinger. Eric Ellinger.
Thank you for your attention and for your time this evening. On day 6 of creation, God breathed life into the first man. Genesis 1:7 says, "The Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." At that moment, God infused into all humanity a spirit which makes us higher being than any other created creature. A few hundred years later, King David says in Psalm 139:13, "For you formed my inward parts, you woke me in my mother's womb." These two verses lay the groundwork for God's authority over the womb. Some would claim that their bodies are their own. However, we learn in 1 Corinthians 6:13, "What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and you are not your own? For you are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." This is not about women's choice or Planned Parenthood. It's a fight for the lives of unborn humans, and I encourage you to do everything in your power to stop the murder of those created in His image. Planned Parenthood's current location is illegal. They urge you to enforce the law and not change it unjustly against businesses, and concerned citizens that live in the Green Bay Estates neighborhood. These residents expect the city council to uphold the law on their behalf, and it is your duty to fulfill your responsibilities. Please vote against the amendment of the zone to accommodate an illegally operated abortion clinic at this expensive law access. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Followed by Red Smith. Ms. Adams. Ms. Adams.
I'm from District 9, and I'm a citizen. San Antonio, I grew up in San Antonio, this is my father's city. And I've been watching the city just demoralized over the years, and I'm very, very concerned of it. Many citizens are praying for you. They're praying for your wisdom. Wisdom to vote against the redefinition of an ambulatory surgical center. This would let Planned Parenthood build just about any place. What if they built one near a school or a church? As a citizen, my freedom is what I'm concerned about, and the freedom of other citizens. This is offensive to build these Planned Parenthood centers in neighborhoods is offensive. I hear that word all the time. This is offensive to me. This is offensive in the government seems to be so open-minded to other people being offended. But what about our citizens? Just remember, your free hands are those begins. And you're offending us by building these, or letting them, or passing this change in the code. So I'm asking you to use not wisdom and holistic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Geller, and I want to thank all our citizens that have come here tonight so courageously to dedicate their time to this important cause. And why are only 2 of the city council members here tonight to hear our citizens? We've talked about citizens to be ignored. Why isn't this publicized? Why don't we get the same status as the regular city council meeting? We have the technology, we have the capability, we can videotape and live broadcast these citizens to be heard. I pray and hope that you, Mayor Geller, and Robert Trevino, the only 2 people here, will listen to this to try to motivate the mayor and city council to do the right thing. And I'm supporting, I am a candidate, by the way, and the filing deadline is this next week. So I'm a candidate of the United States Congress, and I'm supporting the effort to do the right thing on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Montez will be followed by Nancy Gordon. And again, we'd like to come to the front of the room when you're next to speak.
I love our city. I want good things for our city. And my children have grown up and found jobs and gone to school outside the city, and they miss San Antonio. And they come back to visit. And I come today on behalf of some friends who have had abortions in their neighborhoods. And they hurt. And I have listened with them and cried with them. And sometimes abortion is seen as a quick fix. But I share that it is not from my sweet friends. It is something that hurts and hurts and hurts. And so I ask that we not vote to make it even easier for abortions to be available, that we vote against redefining, because as I want good things for my city, I don't want people to hurt and make decisions for something that will keep hurting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
She will be followed by our photo cadet.
Hello, council, it's so good to see the two of you at least, and I have some questions for that. I'm here for District 4 and also pushing for the parent. We stand with the against this change in the number because this is against the law. If people start changing laws just to suit whatever's going on in the wind, it hurts the people. We need to have a stable government. We need to have, this is going backwards to ever planning something like this. Whatever city council planned this, to put the money aside for this, they're the ones who need to repent. They're the ones that are wrong because they knew the zoning laws and they still voted for it. They knew all along when they were building it. Now they're saying, well, if we have to have a Planned Parenthood because we have $5 million something to it. No, you can change it to an abortion, to a set up where it can be for the women, for pregnant, all kinds of systems for the women, but not Planned Parenthood. So this thing can change, and this needs to be considered and stop this changing the city laws. Thank you.
Well, now everyone, Arturo Guerrera, Terry Cadell, Terry Cattle, Terry Cattle. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, is there anyone, and be honest with me now, is there anyone here who has signed up who has not spoken yet?
For some reason, Ruben didn't get it. He was signed up.
All right, please come forward, Ruben. Go ahead.
Good evening, my name is Ruben Presty, and I'm a student for Life in America. We are the nation's largest nonprofit organization and represent thousands of students across the nation in 800 plus student groups. Today we are here to talk about a $6.5 million abortion clinic that has had dozens of zoning regulations against them, led by the world's largest abortion provider. 2 universities and 7 high schools are located within 5 miles of this facility. 80% of all Planned Parenthoods are located within 5 miles of a high school or college campus, and 44% of all abortions are performed on college-age women. Planned Parenthood knows young people are vulnerable and abuses their vulnerability to sell the radical pro-abortion agenda. For every one adoption report, Planned Parenthood carries out 145 abortions. I ask you, would you allow your children to enter Planned Parenthood? Jeffrey Hans, president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of South Texas, says he estimates a new center will perform about 2,800 abortions. That is 100,000 over the number about 2 years ago. I am not shocked to see that these regulations have gone against the city facility, with looking at how much money has been gone to different councilmen that are sitting here today and that are not sitting here today. This is not with that knowledge, I don't see how we can vote on a Planned Parenthood issue bipartisanly by the state.
Ruben, for the record, I need you to state your full name so that we can have it down on the record.
Ruben Verasiki, VRASKIG.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I'd like to say this. I want to thank each and every one of you for turning out. You think about how many citizens don't do something like this when there's such an important issue on the table. The other thing I want to say, here you've spent over 2 hours presenting, I think, very clearly what the message is. I assure you that Councilman Trevino and I will deliver to full council the fact that you were here this evening, the numbers that were here this evening, and all of the comments that were made. I want to make sure that they understand where the citizens who have come here tonight stand on this very important issue. Thank you very much for your attendance this evening. This meeting is closed.
Sending it to the media saying, I have some neighbors who can on camera. How messy.
Thank you, Dream Hill Estates people.